Ladies and gentlemen, in the modern day, modern art is a joke, and is in no way art as what we think is art. We believe they are different, and it can actually be harmful. So let me get onto my burden of proof for today. In this debate, we will have to prove that modern art is rarely actually an art. We will also prove to you that it is actually harmful, that it can be harmful in today's society. So now let me start defining the difference between art and modern art. Art is complex and shows meaning in human expression through painting, sculptures, etc. We believe modern art is just simple and shows meaning which whatever the artist came up with, and just randomly opened a book and found a random phrase. So let me get on, and our case for today is I'll be speaking about art and how it has lost its meaning, and also how modern art has false meaning. My second speaker will be speaking about how it is unfair and how it is actually harmful to society as a whole. So now on to my first point on how art and how it has lost its meaning. So art used to take time and effort, but now what is it? It takes the exact same amount of time that a preschooler takes to make his own finger painting. Why is their art thrown away? If it is practically the same amount of effort and time put in as modern artists, while their art is appreciated in galleries around the world. Why? This is the main question opposition will have to answer, and it will be difficult for them to answer this question. So now let me explain huge differences, why modern art is actually different to art, why they are completely different, and why modern art should not be considered actual art. So art is meant to take effort, and it's the ideas presented in art are easily identifiable because of this effort that's gone through to prove their ideas. And it's also repeatable. It takes tons of time. And also, generally artists do it for the sake of art. As we saw when Van Gogh made art, he didn't do it for money. Because he just kept going, even though he was poor. He had no money. He did it because he enjoyed art, and he did it for the sake of art, not for the money. And we see today how his artwork is actually worth quite a bit nowadays. And in modern art, there is no effort put in. I can practically go into my garage, chuck a couple eggs at a canvas, and there we go. That is modern art. And it has some random meaning, so if I just draw a crayon on a canvas, I can say, oh look, I'm going to title it Sunny Day and put it into an exhibition. Modern art is non-repeatable, as you are seen as just like copying someone, because in the case of actual art, when effort is put in, it is difficult to copy someone completely how it was done, as you would have to mimic the exact same amount of effort. But in modern art, it is so easy to copy someone, but the point is you run out of ideas that can be done, while in the old art, it is repeatable and can be done over and over. Modern art takes no time, meaning, and they do it only for money, meaning that they don't do it for the sake of art, as we've seen how Van Gogh, Da Vinci, and all the other artists did it for the sake of art and pleasing other people. They do it for only the money. We don't see this art being completely protected behind bulletproof glass just so it's safe. They only do it for the money and not for the sake of art. No, thank you. Now, on to my second point, how art has lost its meaning in the form of modern art. So, back when art actually had effort, it was repeatable. because you'd have to mimic the same amount of effort, and people could see you put in a lot of effort as well, meaning that your art was actually really good. And nowadays, we see no effort put in by modern artists. Therefore, if you copy someone, you are considered just someone who just like ripped off someone else's artwork. It's that easy to mimic that you run out of ideas. This leads to a major problem where modern art gets more and more dangerous, weird, and different. When modern art becomes different, we can see it separating completely from current art, which brings us to our first point in our burden, separating modern art from art. So, at first we saw crayons on a canvas, and finger painting. Then we even saw people shooting themselves on camera just for the sake of art and modern art. How long until they start shooting others for the sake of art? And this is why modern art can be dangerous in modern society, and is not real art, as it is just going around and doing random stuff. So now, art used to have a meaning. Today they say they have a meaning, but no one really knows what that painting means. But back in Da Vinci's time, he put effort into pushing through his ideas through his art, and we saw how, and we are easily able to identify the meanings in his artworks because of this effort. In modern art, no effort is put through, and their ideas are actually not exactly, yes.
Okay, you just spend time to paint something, or you just spend time to create something. There, and also the modern artists spend time to create something.
So they spend a lot less time. As I've said, is that Da Vinci spent years painting his stuff. Leonardo da Vinci spent years making his paintings. Modern artists, as we can see in modern day galleries, often put in little to no effort in their artworks. Therefore, your point of information is irrelevant. So, he put effort into pushing his ideas. Modern art, we can't actually see this, and modern art, we can't see the ideas, and it's just their random idea that they actually just put forward. So to conclude my speech, ladies and gentlemen, modern art is rarely art, and is actually just someone making squiggles on a page.
Thank you. First speaker for the opposition, Anil.
Okay, we can start. First, I'm gonna explain you two simple things. This is what art is, and then our first aim and our first criteria is not labor, and then a little topic, option set increases. First of all, I'm gonna start with the rebuttals. And the first speaker comes out and says how art lost the meaning, and says modern art takes no time. They just do it for the money, but they didn't think that. For example, I give you a painting, I give you a tableau just like this big, and then I put a point on there, and I just explain you, and I just give you the notion to understand the loneliness or to understand the arrogancy. But and I also spend time to create something. I also spend time to put the point to somewhere. And then these are rebuttal. And then I'm gonna start with what art is. First of all, in the ancient times, people were painting on the walls, and the art has started. Yeah. And then art, every time you reflected those times conditions people's mind, what they want, their problems, and then furthermore, art explained their feelings, their depressions. And then, for example, in the 17th century, artists were painting portraits, and for example, in 15th century, artists were painting the vanities, and then in 20th, they made cubism, just like Dali or surrealism. And then people liked the portraits and surrealism paintings because they were really good, they were awesome, and then they just said they were reflecting their feelings, and then they didn't say, oh no, how much time did Da Vinci or did Dali spend on this painting. They just reflect feelings. For example, in England, everyone had too many expensive things, and then the arrogancy came out, and then the artists start to make vanity tableaus. And then, for example, for Baroque, everything were classic, and then the artists started to make something Baroque. And then for Classicism, it was a new surge. Or for Cubism, everyone started to express their feelings with making just like these squares or the cubes. And then these were reflecting feelings. And then all the time, people like different things, and artists make them just. And then it was like supply and demand relation, or the relevancy. And then our first criteria, our first criteria was not labor, because we didn't think that, we never thought that how many years did Da Vinci spend time on Mona Lisa, or Dali spend time on the time. And then we didn't think we just thought what they're expressing, what's the message, what's the first aim. And then when we said it's awesome, it's very beautiful, and then the main part comes. Then we said what he is trying to explain. Don't you agree? Yeah.
So what we believe in modern art especially, it's not only the labor that goes into it, but the amount of time spent thinking about art in general.
Your first speaker every time explains that our first aim is labor. There is no effort in modern art. But our first aim is to express the feelings of the aged people. For example, we said our aim is the creativity, because we have to spend time to create something. We have to spend time to express something. And then arrogancy, for example, it was vanity, and aged people feels. And then the biggest problem of our aged people is loneliness, yeah? And then people feel depressed, alone. And then especially the young people. And then they have no ability to express themselves. And then so artists are trying to express, artists are trying to express in terms of sense. And then loneliness is a feel. It means it's an abstract thing. And then you cannot express it with concrete concepts. For example, you cannot paint a boy and a girl, and boy is going and girl is just waiting, and he is very sad. It's the it's the ancient time style. And today we are trying to express it just to put a point on a gray tableau, yeah. And then you have to explain the legitimacy or the illegitimacy to put a point on a tableau and to express I'm alone, I'm not feeling good, I'm depressed. And you didn't do that, and then you have to do that. This is your first, this must be your first aim. And then for example, you cannot make the picture of happiness with just making Mona Lisa is smiling. You cannot express it. You can also make it how you want, because everything, when you supply something, everyone can take it. For example, when my friend wants a point on a tableau and feeling alone, maybe my other friend can think a girl and a boy is going, and she feels alone. And then now we increase the option set. This is our third argument. For example, today in this match, we have to talk about the legitimacy to ban or not to allow the modern art. Yeah. No, thank you. We just now increase the option set. For example, when I demand a tableau which is made modern art, which is made by a modern artist, I can want it. Maybe you don't, but I just increase the option set. But you don't explain the legitimacy to ban or to prevent this option set. And then in this point, for example, when you like Mona Lisa, I can like another thing. When you like the time, I can like another thing. But you don't explain why it's not art. Why to put a point on a tableau is not art. For example, in today's world, you can make everything. You can make for example, you can make the best tableau with a computer, or you can make the best tableau just for trying to do that for 10 years, and it's not our game, it's not our match. Our match is to express something, to make feel something. Do you have a question?
No, sorry.
No. Okay. And then in this point today we are explaining you three simple things. First, yeah, come.
Then why wouldn't a sports simulation of a match be just as good as watching a real match?
It's not our game. For example, when you watch a match, and when you look at tableau, you look at tableau. And if you like it, it's not our game. For example, if you want the simulation, I can give you a simulation. If you want a real one, I can give you the real one. It's not the relevancy of this match. And then today we explain you three simple things. First, what art is? We said art every time reflected the times, conditions, people's mind, and what they want, and the feelings. And then we said the art changed every time, just like in 17th century it was different, and in 15 and in 20 it's different. And then we said we just increase the option set, we just give the supply and demand condition, and that's our game, and that's all. Thank you very much for the opposition, sir. Thank you.
7:37. Ready? First, thank you very much. We have our second speaker for the proposition, Ian. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we believe that modern art is true art, then we believe that everything and everything can be constituted as art. And we think that it's time to rethink how we view this endeavor. We as side proposition agree with Francesca de Goya. We agree with Salvador Dali. We agree with Leonardo da Vinci. We think that these people put effort into their work. They put time. They put their life into this work. But we think that modern artists do not. We disagree. But at first I'll start with some rebuttal. Now, side opposition seem to think that we're only talking about modern art in the forms of canvas art. But as I will explain later, there are many other things that can be constituted as modern art that are in the forms of video, are in the forms of live acts that are potentially harmful and are not a good influence on society. Secondly, they mentioned that in the times of Salvador Dali, in the surrealism, that they were good, they were awesome. And we concur that they were good. But these people put time and effort and quality into their art, which we believe that modern artists did not, no thank you, and therefore their quality is not as good, and it is unfair to the other artists that in this modern time that are producing, no thank you, producing modern works, that are producing traditional works that are equally as well, that are better than these, that are more of an expression of emotions than these, but they're being totally ignored for reasons that I will explain later. Then they brought up the idea that we're going to ban the modern art, but we're not doing that. We just aren't considering it as art, and we're going to separate modern. We don't think that they should be considered in the same form of art as traditional art. Okay, firstly, I'm going to be talking about why we believe that modern art and the artists that produce their art, their ideas are unfair to the other traditional artists. Now, we believe that with the transition into modern art in today's society, there has been a widening gap between traditional painters and artisans and modern artists, with the former taking the brunt of the blow. We believe that the people who stick to the traditional styles of art are being excluded to the point where their art is not being allowed to be exhibited in galleries, as they have been too great, as the galleries have been too greatly influenced by the pretentious modern artists and have gained this idea that the public will only respond to modern artists. And we think that this is negative, as these traditional artists' quality is in fact higher, and we think that it is better, and they should be getting more of a chance, more of an opportunity to exhibit their art. We believe that it is unfair to the traditional artists, not only for the pure reason that they are excluded because they have acquired yes.
Just like we have explained, we just increase the option set. For example, if you want Mona Lisa, you can watch Mona Lisa. If you want the other one, you can watch the other one.
Yeah, but we still do not. We're not saying that you can't look at it. We're just saying that we don't think that it is art. We don't think that it is. Yeah, it's rarely art. For pure reason, but it also takes them more time, and they have a higher quality and a larger amount of. They take a longer amount of time to produce. To put this in perspective, in Salvador Dali's style of surrealism would take him 4 to 5 years to produce, and his paintings are widely regarded as some of the highest quality in history, whereas nowadays, pretentious artists can market their pretentious artworks that would have taken them a matter of days in putting their paintbrush into a paint bucket and splattering it onto a canvas, to pretentious art buyers at a low quality and a low price. We believe this is fundamentally wrong, as the traditional artists are being discriminated against, as the modern artists are have influenced the society in a negative manner and are leaving these people unopen to proposing their ideas. Now we'll be talking about how it negatively affects the society. Well, firstly, we believe that the fact that you need help from the artist in order to just make out what the picture is or to interpret it is a layer of exclusivity that we don't think is needed in art. We think that once your painting has been released into the public, everyone should be able to interpret it in their own way. Whereas with this, we believe that it is incredibly difficult, as the pictures usually don't make sense and are negatively abstract. We further believe that they are harmful to the society in the ways that there are many videos. Nowadays, there are some strange things that could negatively influence society that are considered modern art. For example, an 8-minute video of male and female circumcision. We don't think that this is a good idea. That this is a positive stance on art, as we don't think that it should be involved in art, and it is inherently negative in the field of art, yes.
You every time say it's not art, we cannot accept it as an art, but you don't explain why. You don't say, you just say it's just because of an effort.
Well, it's not a form of expression. How is a video of male and female circumcision expression in any way or form? And, another example would be a man ejaculating on a camel. And later ejaculating on a canvas that would later be sold for billions. We don't think that this is a positive influence on expression or art in general. It is not. It's not something that we should consider as art, and we believe it's inherently negative in the field of art. And this is why we believe that modern art is rarely art and should not be considered as such.
7:21. Okay, thank you very much. We now have our second opposition speaker, Marat. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I have 2 points to talk about. Firstly, I'll say that this kind of point of view is harmful for the evolution of art, and secondly, the legacy of art to future generations. But firstly, some rebuttals. Today, the team proposition came up with two ideas. First one was this modern art is not actually an art because there are no efforts and no time. And secondly, they said it's harmful for the society. Firstly, we don't think that it's not the effort or the time spent on doing the art is not the thing that give value to this art, ladies and gentlemen. We think that the value of the art is the meaning of the art. It don't have to take 1 year or 2 years to construct an effective art. And secondly, they said that it's thank you. Secondly, they said that it's harmful, but they didn't really explain this point. They said that it's dangerous because people can shoot others because they think this is art. We don't accept this. People shooting others and making videos out of it is not art. We don't accept this. And actually, you said that we consider only the pictures of art, but actually it was you who only considered the pictures as art. The most important thing for you was the effort. But can you say that, for example, the modern architecture is not made with efforts? You only consider that a tableau with cracked eggs on it, or only a empty tableau. You only consider this, but there are also other types of art, and we can say that these types of art are made with efforts. If you think that it's really important, thank you. And you said that we don't ban, but actually, in long term, you ban this art. You destroy this art. I will explain it in my first argument. Thank you. And you said that it's negative because it's abstract, and you didn't really explain it. How can an abstract tableau can be negative? We think that it's purely and extremely positive thing because it represents the feelings, the emotions of the people, and it addresses directly to the imagination of the people. And these examples of videos are really irrelevant, we think, and I'm moving on to my points. Thank you. My first point. We think that this kind of point of view is really harmful for the evolution of art. We said that art is not a thing which keeps itself the same all the time. This notion evolves in every age, in every century, and finds a new shape, a new construction. Thank you. Why does the art have to change all the time? Because as the time passes, people change. Their opinions, their problems, their perceptions change. And due to this evolution of humanity, art has to evolve too. Art has to represent the problems of the age, or the perceptions of the age. That's what the people want actually. They want to see a part of themselves in art. And in today's art, in today's modern art, actually people see a part of themselves. People see their own opinions, their own emotions. Yeah.
How does a person see their own opinion and their own emotion in a video of a man ejaculating onto a canvas?
You're repeating that example, but we don't think that it's in modern art. A video ejaculating on it's not a relevant example. Thank you. Yeah. So in this natural process, art finds its own way and continues its metamorphosis. And this kind of perception is harmful. Saying that this art is nonsense is harmful. Why? When we say that this art is nonsense, it actually intervenes in the natural process of art. This is not art, so stop it. It means stop it. It's not art, it's nonsense. Means there will be no more different streams of art. We only have to look at Mona Lisa. We only look at the tableaus of Da Vinci. For example, no thank you. For example, if there was a point of view, there was a perception in the age of Picasso or Dali, Picasso and Dali wouldn't be so famous in our age, we think, because this kind of point of view discourage new artists, discourage people to create new things, to create new streams of art. This kind of point of view discourage everybody and is destroy the evolution of the art, we think. Thank you. And secondly, the legacy of art to future generations. We think that art is the most important way to understand the age to which it belongs. Because in every stream, we see the way of understanding of people. It's almost as effective as reading a history book, we think. For example, when we look at a picture classic, we understand the perception, the situation of this age. When we look at a picture baroque or a picture impressionist, we understand the perception, the understanding, the way of looking to the situation, to the way of looking to the world. We understand that when we look at these pictures. And after 50 years, 100 years, this modern art will represent our perceptions. Because tomorrow, because today we are more emotional. We have more abstract problems, like my first speaker have said, like loneliness, like the meaning of life. Today, we have almost everything we need. We have other problems. We have problems, more emotional, more abstract problems. And these artists actually represent our problems. These artists talk about our problems. And actually, we think that every stream of art are affected to its formers, and every shape of art influences the future stream of art. So, we think that a perception like this is really extremely harmful. So, we think that it's really harmful to think this way. So, what I have talk about today. Firstly, I think that your point of view is really harmful for the artist, and as thinking like this, you damage the evolution of the art. And secondly, we have to protect this kind of modern art to give our future generations a legacy of art, to make them understand our perceptions of today, to make them understand the understanding of today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have the third speaker for the proposition, Stephen?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen to the House at Large, today we need to express the main differences between how side opposition view art and how side proposition view art as an endeavor and artistic relationship towards society. And what we have is the main problem with side opposition are downplaying the role of society in artistic endeavors. And we think that this is wholeheartedly negative. What we think is art is perceived by the members who view it. Art is not perceived by the people who create this artistic works of art. And we think that in this case, we went on 2 points. Now, the first point that we would like to mention is that in modern day society, when people create art, they create art with the intention of being non-repetitive. You cannot create art in a contentious, and especially in modern art, we see that if someone does something innovative, doing that again would make the piece of art completely worthless. Why this is important is because in modern day society, we like innovation. As side opposition conceded to, we like innovation, and doing something once and then doing it again. After we've done it again, it's completely useless, completely irrelevant, and we think that that point doesn't stand. The second point is that they use the example that how we didn't understand art back in the day, and now we understand it now, and we think that what we're doing is negatively harming the way that we view art in the future, and we completely disagree with this. First of all, back in the old days, people didn't have the access to art that we have now. Right at the moment, we can click on the internet and we can find the latest picture of someone who bled on a piece of paper and read the story about it. Back in those days, Van Gogh's art were probably only seen by a rare amount of critics, a group of people with completely objective views, and we think that that isn't a constitution to how we view art now. Not only that, art back in the day was clearly concise, and even if what they're saying is true, as I just mentioned, the point still doesn't stand. But we think that art back then was understood because it was clear and concise anyway. And not only that, we'd like to express how we don't downplay the role of abstract art in art today. Modern art is not abstract art. Abstract art still has clear messages within the painting. Modern art has no clear messages within the art itself. It has messages between the mind of the artist and the painting, therefore disallowing society to view it in an objective way. We think that this is negative not only to the artistic world, but to society who think that their problems need to be represented in artistic endeavors. And they use the example of people who feel alone and they need artistic expression to represent this. But we see this in other types of modern art, which not only is good modern art, but it also is more complex, more diverse, more colors, more expressions. And you think that because that you represented just a dot on paper, that's been done before, that isn't innovation, that isn't art. And that what we think is that the other types of art which aren't part of this subject which we view, which is the rarely part of the emotion, which is this house believes that modern art is rarely negative. Is rarely art. We think that the other types of art, which are being downplayed and being undermined by this abstract and expressionless view of art today, we think that we win that point as well. Moving on to the slippery slope of ridiculousness in art, and they responded to this but not to their full potential. They mentioned that if we have some people who shoot themselves on camera and constitute that as art, this is just a slippery slope down towards shooting other people on camera and making that constitutional as art. And ladies and gentlemen, not only will I continue to describe why videos are actually constituted as modern art, but I'll also explain why they are negative to society. Now, first of all, the second speaker completely denied the fact that other forms of art other than paintings are actually modern art. And this just isn't true. Modern art, no thank you. Modern art is modern expression as it has been evolved for all the days. This includes videos, this includes pictures, this includes photography, this includes a multitude of diverse ranges of what we think. And what we think is rarely that is constituted as art. No, thank you. So we believe that videos of circumcision, videos of people dying, videos of ejaculation are considered art, and they're considered negative outlook onto the positive world. They don't provide any expression to this, and yes, I will take this POI.
Ejaculating on a man or a girl, it doesn't make it as a modern art, it makes it poor.
No, that's the main reason we're trying to express. Lots of people view porn as art. Lots of people want that as in modern art. That's negative. What you just conceded is that some people want other things which aren't art to be art. We think that in this case, pornography isn't art and circumcision isn't art. So thank you for clarifying that on the house. I'm sure everyone agrees that circumcision, videos of circumcision are not art. And ladies and gentlemen, I've explained the slippery slope of how ridiculous art will carry on to be, but I would like to cover out a major point of this, a major point of contention in today's debate, and that's the fact that labor and effort increases the value, increases what we view as an aesthetically pleasing artistic piece. Ladies and gentlemen, they focused on this as far more than we have, and we believe that in today's debate it isn't even as important as they made it out to be. But what we mean by this, to clarify my first and second speakers, is that because something takes no effort, and because something because you allow art to receive a pretentious and non-invalued view of what the artistic piece is, it undermines the value of what that piece involves. So what we have today in today's society, we have people working very hard on structures, people working very hard on statues, people working very hard in other forms of modern art which are being undermined by this splot on paper which is constituted as art in general. And we think that that is a negative view on how systems work, how artistic systems work, and how critics want to view this. Again, we would like to explain the importance of how actors on a societal level view art in general, and we think that is very important. So effort and time, although important in art, isn't what we want to try and express with that point. We just want to express that just because you take a long time in a painting doesn't mean that it's good. It means that if you spend a long time on it and you think about the methods in which art goes into. If we look at Salvador Dali, we see, we see lots of symbolism, lots of thought and effort going into the way in which he produces his paintings. So what at first just looked like a menial, scrap, odd mixture of paintings in general actually have symbolic meaning, which isn't represented in modern art sculptures today.
So every time you say Salvador Dali made it in 10 years, but if we make the point in 10 years, are you okay on the system?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we make the points in 10 years, then obviously we constitute art in general. Look, this is what you're trying to express by saying that modern art is negative. It's saying that people need their views to be expressed on an artistic level, and saying that the only way of doing that is making a splot on paper. Okay, that maybe we can do that once, but we can't do that again. It isn't art anymore. We can't repeat it. We're trying to say that we can perfect old traditional art, because traditional art at its core is how it's meant to be improved upon. It's meant to be re-looked at. And if we look at modern art, it's just art for the sake of making money. We see that in the Tate Modern. People create artistic works for the sake of just giving it a pretentious value, which it doesn't actually have on paper. We think that traditional artwork receive their value because of the demand for intricate and complex, diverse ranges of colors and diverse ranges of what we view in society. And ladies and gentlemen, if we can constitute anything and everything as modern art, we believe that this is wholeheartedly negative, not only onto society, but onto people in general. We think that the perception of art and artists need to be changed from this radical view that modern art is we think that modern art is deceptive, and we need to change our views on this. Side oppositions still need to prove their burden. We have proved ours. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have our third speaker for opposition, is it Samla?
We can start. Hi, actually I'm starting with the first speaker. As we understood, they think art has to be complicated, and for art you have to spend so many times. If it is right. In the galleries, you put the artist in there, and the people watching when he is painting and counting the hours. No, we are looking for the total. We are looking the portrait and the paintings. So we are not interested with the effort, and we are saying that if the all earlier times there was a photographer, video machine or something like that, you couldn't draw the exactly the same building with the in your tableau. The necessaries are different, were different in this days. So they're painting they are painting what they couldn't have to do. So they draw the buildings because they made exactly the same thing because they need that. But today we have so many things: videos, cameras, and all the things. Internet. We have to express ourselves with the feelings because today's people have everything. They can take a picture or anything else, but they can't express their feelings. No thanks. Okay, and we're thinking the main mission of the art always create something, not a painting, not a building, not other things. We have to create something because artists are different, right? They're awesome because they are create something. They are creativity. They have creativity, so they're different. So you're saying the modern art is weird. Okay. Today, the biggest problem of these age people is feeling lonely or something like that. They are so feeling emotional. They are intense of senses. So it's really hard to tell. How can we do that? They are trying something. So with paper, with another thing, but they are trying. And this age, you have to do this because it's necessary. Okay, today we need to touch deeper point to people, so we have to do something. But just because you're saying that's weird, we can't give up the try. We have to do something, and it has to be changed. It will change. Art is really change. Art. Okay, I'm going with your another point. Okay.
Okay, you keep on mentioning the fact that the main problem in society today is people feel alone. We can't constitute just the one reason for art to be produced. That just proves that art is getting less and less diverse.
Okay, that means poor problems is getting worse too. So we have to focus on the people because art exists for people. So you can't blame the people they are feeling lonely. Okay?
Yeah, why?
No, sorry. Okay, you're saying unfair to others, Van Gogh, Dali, or Picasso. We are absolutely agree with Dali was awesome. Van Gogh is awesome. We are absolutely agree. But why do you think Van Gogh had suffered all his time? Because nobody get him, nobody understand his art, nobody support him. So the people of his age called him weird. So they are suffered, but he has to be spent so many so many hours on that. But today is in other circumstances we are doing another art. So you're coming with the video of us. You're saying unusual video, but that's not art. Okay, no thanks. We can count unusual portraits in earlier time, and we're sure in their time the people disappear these portraits too. It doesn't mean the Van Gogh age was the unusual too. So we can't count these videos of the modern art. We are sorry, it's really irrelevant with the motion. People shooting each other and this something like it's weird videos. It's not the art. We're absolutely no. We count that in the modern art. So you're saying we have to say that's not art. We're saying it damaged it damaged the circle and metamorphosis of the art, because until this day art has own metamorphosis. He always changed, and he always be realist, surrealist. There are absolutely other things, realism, surrealism. But realist people can say surrealist for weird, and surrealists say for real. There are so many view of the art, and in these days, modern art is another view of point for the people. So we can't say this is meaningless just for we use something weird. Okay, but in your case, we are saying keep the modern art as art, and if it's really unlogical, as you said, it will change. We assure you. The peoples are not stupid. The peoples are not idiots. Just they have the unusual and weird things, and it's art. And I don't get it. Nothing but I'm gonna pay this. It's weird thing, and people won't do that. So if it has to be changed, it will change. We assure you. So you're damaging the circle of the art, and if you're saying you give a if you're doing this, you give a fear to artists. Why? Because if you are saying you are not doing art because they have so many creativity in his stuff, but you're saying no, it's not art. It's not art. It's really unfair to them, because if just because you're find this weird, you're exclude them, and just because they are express themselves for the people, you're just exclude them. So art will not continue, and you're killing just because it telling something hard, and they used paper and something else. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and firstly we said I think definition of art really different than us, because we find intelligence, creativity, something different, because artist has to be different. It can be usual. His or she can't be usual. So we want creativity, not just for the talent. So second point, why you're saying weird them? Because they're telling something else. So third, unfair to others. It's when the Dali's time unfair to him too. You're saying some videos, it's really not relevant the emotion, so I'm not counting this. And we said that there is a circulation in this art, so if it has to be changed, it will change. Thank you for listening.
And to summarize the position of the opposition, reply speaker will be Emil.
Okay, we can start. Hello again. First of all, this match was about the cost income analysis, the pragmatics, we can say. What are our aims and why it's not legitimate, or why it's not our match was that. And then first of all, I want to remind you that ejaculating on someone or having some scenes about ejaculation means it's porn, and the porn is another kind of art. Yeah, it's art, brothers, it's art, but it's not modern art. It's a different thing. And then first of all, I want to remind you that. And then second of all, we said that when we say when we make the point in 10 years, are you okay? Yeah, you said you're okay. It means you have just the time, you have just the effort, and your only point was the effort. But we came up with too many points. We said art has changed. We said we have future generations. Art has to continue, and the only way is to continue with the modern way, and then the art will change, we said. But you said nothing on that. And then first of all, you said Da Vinci has no more chance. There is no effort. And then in this caucus, there's no effort, you say. Just for the money, everyone does that, you say. But we said, no, we just increase the option set. If people like it, yeah, they can look that. But if people doesn't, they can look Mona Lisa or something else. We said, for example, in modern art museum, for example, like the statistics, the modern art museum in Paris has too many visitors, just like Louvre, almost the same. And then people like it. And then it means it's an art because it feels something to people. When people look the point, when people look the slash on that, they can feel better. They can feel their loneliness or happiness or something else. And then it means it doesn't make it just effort. And then in your point, for example, we say art has changed every time. For example, Baroque or Classicism or Neo-Baroque or Vanity or portraits. Every time it has changed. And then we said supply and demand relevancy is like. For example, when people feel something bad, the artists start to make it. For example, if artists want to get some money, if the artists want to earn some money, it can go to the street and make the portraits of everyone, the best artists, and then he can also earn the money. It's not only the way, because the artists still enjoy. Not only Van Gogh enjoys when he's painting. The artists, the modern artists are enjoying now also. And then, for example, a person shooting himself in front of the camera, yeah, maybe. Even if it's art, it's not modern art. It's a different kind of art, maybe. And just like I stated, if it's ejaculation, yeah, it's porn. It's another kind of art. And you are out of the match. You are out of this motion. And then that's why our arguments will stay on the top again. And then we said today, labor is not our first aim. For example, if we make Mona Lisa in 10 years and if we make Mona Lisa in 2 minutes, it's the same. It means just if we like it, if people like it, and then if it's good, if we feel better when we look at that, and then that's what. And in this condition, we are getting happy, and then it means it's good and it's acceptable. We just increase the option set. And then, for example, just like we said, when I make 1 point in 10 years and when I make Mona Lisa in 5 years, it doesn't make 1 point more sensible and more valuable than Mona Lisa. We explained this, and then you said nothing on that. Your only point was Your only point was the effort and the labor, but it doesn't work in this system. And then we said also the art is getting changed. And then in our system, if the art wants to continue, and in your system we said also you're discouraging the artists who are making those. And then in this system, if you do that, if you say it's bad, future generations will not have it. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, there have been three major flaws inside opposition's case. Firstly, they have been completely undermining our points. I don't think that they're stupid, but rather they're taking a strategic way of just completely ignoring our points and forwarding their own to try to convince you. So they've said how the videos are not relevant, but the point is they are. People are making it for art in the modern day. Therefore, it is modern art. They can't say it's just porn. Porn is a way of can be a way of expressing what you want, and these videos are expressing what they want, and it is being expressed for the wrong reason. And they've also said only what they think is modern art is art. It is modern art. But the point is, there's more art to what they think is art, and they've gotten that completely wrong. Also, they've thought that we said we should disallow modern art, we should just get rid of it. We said that we should separate it from art, and as it is completely different. So, that's two of the mistakes. They also, at the beginning of the first speech, they put the burden on themselves to prove that modern art is better than old art, which the point is they haven't proven in this debate, and was probably a major mistake to point out. So, on to major clashes of this debate. The major clash of this debate was the meaning of art. They said it's about spreading the feelings. But the point is, the places where modern art is from, people aren't exactly oppressed. And they said, if you're feeling lonely, but then the point is, it's only appealing to the artists themselves, not to everybody else who comes to view it. And only because he's lonely, not exactly because everyone else is. And they've said that it doesn't have to have effort to be popular, but we've pointed out that effort is a method of effort is an indicator of how good a piece of artwork is. And also we see that artworks that have had more effort put in have higher value than artworks that haven't. And so we have proven our burden that modern art is different to what old art is, and what art should remain. Modern art is art that is a completely different genre and should stay a different genre. Art should stay in its current genre where effort is put in, and effort is a sign of value of artwork, while modern art can still express, but is very bad at expressing it, and should be different to actual artwork. Thank you.